Hello everyone, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to yet another episode of the Author Collaborative. I have been doing these for over a year now, and this is hello. Thank you for joining. This is probably the 65th or 66th episode of the Author Collaborative, and as always, I'll be talking to an author whose book I have recently read. Today, my guest is Vani, and I have read her book seconds later, and I absolutely enjoyed reading the book. Hello, Bookerberg. Thank you for joining. Uh, Without further ado, let me just add her to this session so we can start with the. Stay with me for a moment. Yes, she'll be joining us in a minute. Hello. Hi,
Hi,
Mani.
hi, Manali. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Very well, very well. And because it's a little warmer now here in the Netherlands, I'm very happy. It's the winter season and the cold weather has finally ended. So I'm really happy.
So, what is the time over there?
So currently it is 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon.
Good. So we have about yeah, the show was supposed to start at 7 o'clock. So good. But I can tell you one thing that the heat that you have here in North India is nothing like you will ever experience there. I don't know what's like the highest temperature that you guys have over there. I don't know.
So every year, because of global warming, it's going up and up. I think the highest last year was around 28, but we are expecting it to go up to 30 or about 30 this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But like here it's like boiling hot outside most of the time. Have you
Yeah,
I never asked you, have you ever visited Chandigarh?
oh my God, no, I have not. And so now that you tell me, my lead protagonist from my debut novel, she's from Chandigarh, and she moved from Chandigarh to Mumbai. That's what her story is
See,
about.
this Manali, this is the advantage that internet has. You could be sitting in God knows what country and you could still connect. And
Yeah.
we've never visited this place, and yet we are talking and we are going live. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, your friends and my friends. They're all here.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us. And it's going to be a really fun session, so stay connected. We are going to talk a lot about all the bookish things in the world, probably, and we'll be asking each other fun questions. So,
Absolutely.
we go ahead.
We have a friend of mine is joining from Melbourne.
Oh, wow. Hello. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, hello.
Book Nerds Corner is saying thank you so much for this live. You're very welcome. It is my absolute pleasure to have Vani on this show because I don't think I have ranted enough about how much I love your book. So I'm going to continue doing that.
Oh, I am truly, I don't know, I feel flattered. I feel honestly, it's like all those years of working hard on a project. It's all like I feel like it was well worth it. When even one person says that, it was good, it just makes my day. And your email when it came and when I read your review, the best thing, Manali, about your review was, and I'm sure you'll be like telling other viewers about the review as well, but the best thing was you took out quotes from the book. And I honestly, I'm telling you, when I was writing the book, I never wrote it like I never wrote those lines like for somebody to just pick them up, or they were just random stuff, that the characters are just mumbling, just here and there, like the usual stuff. But you actually took out the time to mark those and to list those in your review. And then that was that made my day, honestly. And I loved your review. Thank you so much. I
Oh,
don't think I
thank
have
you.
thanked you enough.
So this is like, we are just appreciating each other, and people will wonder whether, we are just doing this to promote each other's books. Uh, So before this becomes a book rant, I want you to introduce yourself to the audience first.
Okay. Namaste, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for sending us so many hearts. My name is Vani, and I am a writer. I am a journalist. I've worked with publications like Times of India and Financial Express, and I write columns as well whenever I feel like it, and mostly for online publications like Quint and Scroll. I've written for Open Magazine as well. And aside that, I write books, and I'm really passionate about writing and reading and everything in between. So it's like I feel like this world is so familiar to me, and I just love to be lost in that world for hours. I can't just be bothered what goes out like around me and all that. So yeah, that's a bit about me. And seconds later, yes, seconds later is my latest book. This is the book, and Manali has read it, and it's been 5 months now. So this book came out in 2021, and it's been doing very well since then. So God has just been very kind to me. Yeah, that's all about me.
Wonderful, Vani. And now that you have told us about the book, and you've also mentioned that I have reviewed the book and read it, I want to mention that I absolutely love the book. And based on my reading of the book, I have a few questions for you, because this session is all about learning from each other and understanding our writing processes.
Thank you so much.
The
Yeah,
book looks beautiful. All the best wishes. Somebody
thank you
has
so
commented.
much. Yes,
Yes,
yes, absolutely. Thank
yes,
you
book
so
note
much.
corner. She has read all my books. The person who is commenting this, and she is mentioning that she will check out your book also. Thank you so much for reading and loving my
Thank
books.
you.
Check out Vani's book also.
Thank you so much. Thank you again.
Yes. So
Yes.
my first question to you, Vani, I have the questions ready here. Just in fact, maybe probably because we forget, because we have so many questions to ask each other.
Yes, please.
So my first question to you, you have already mentioned that you have written for big publications, like well-known, popular publications, and I want to understand, if writing for them for so many years, is it helpful when write a book and publish it and promote it? How does that work out?
The thing is that yes, it trains you. So it's if you're starting from from zero, I think it's very difficult to put your work out there in front of so many people. So you feel scared. Okay, so for me, the only comfort factor was that I had already been writing for Times of India and Financial Express. I was pretty used to getting that attention, like for my work, for the kind of stories that I was doing. So, but so yes, I did not, I wasn't hesitant to put my writing out there in front of others, but that did not make my job any easier, because writing for newspapers and writing a book like prose or poetry or whatever you're writing, they are just like apples and oranges. Because in a
Hmm.
newspaper, you get a word limit. You write either 300 or 400 words, and it's in newspaper writing follows a particular style. You follow an inverted pyramid style of writing, and of course, once you've written the story, you're through with it. There is an editorial desk which goes through the story and just makes it more neater and all that. When you're writing a book, you are the judge. You are the one who has to decide what all characters you're going to put in the book, and what sort of a voice you're going to give each character, how the plot is going to flow. And it's like it's all in your head at one point in time, and plus there is no inverted pyramid style of writing that you can follow. It's like you have to make it catchy, and plus whatever idea you have to spread it across those 300 400 pages of the book, which is like not easy. So at least an idea has to be, you've written a novel, you have to at least have an idea that you can pan across 200 pages, which would be roughly 60,000 words. roughly. So it's like I said, it's apples and oranges. It's different, but what you the second part of your questions was, the question was whether it helps you when you're promoting the book.
Hmm.
Yes, because you could be like, when my first book came out, not for this book because I really haven't had the time. For when my first book came out, I was writing a lot of columns, and about recession and all that. So that was a rom-com which came out in 2015. So yeah, for promotion and all, you could be writing columns, guest columns and all that, and just create publicity for your book and all that. So yeah, I'm familiar with that space, and I don't hesitate when it comes to reaching out to or newspapers or publications and all. But yeah, you have to make that effort, and you have to be very consistent at it. But yeah, your background does work for you in certain ways. Not always, but yeah, to some extent it does.
Yeah, that's so wonderfully answered. And as mentioned, beginning from scratch and having a writing background already, though it's a different segment of writing, different way of writing, it does help when you are going into publishing,
Yes.
because you have that kind of confidence, I believe, that your writing is already out there and people have read it. So there is less hesitance of, people accepting your work or not.
Yes, but judgment hota hai. Everybody is going to judge your work, that will always happen. That you have,
True.
that comes, I think it's a part and parcel of this whole thing, when your work is out there and people are reading it, some people are going to, like, it's going to resonate with some people, and some people are not going to like it.
Not
It's just a part of the thing. Yeah.
so. Yes, coming to your book now, one thing that definitely, hit me hard is how you have written about three very different male characters, and they are so different from, like you mentioned right now, it's like apples and oranges. They are so different from each other. And when I am writing my stories, it is a challenge for me because, we are women. We don't know how the male mind works. We can only write based on our experience of interactions with them. So tell me about that. That's one important thing that I want to learn from you. Tell me how you went
So
about, the characterization of three such varied male characters being a woman.
yeah, absolutely. So I just tell the viewers a bit about the book, like in two lines. My book, Seconds Later, essentially is about this young girl who always wanted to be famous. And then, when not realizing that fame comes at a price, and the time she realizes it, she has already been stabbed. So that's where the book starts from. So some people wrote, I guess you wrote that you're not a fan of prologues, but the prologue states that she's stabbed and she's lying in her studio next to her killer, and she has no clue why this man stabbed her and who he
Yeah.
was actually.
Hmm.
So this is the story of a young girl, and it's all about fame and all the negatives. It introduces the reader to this other side of fame, and it has got three significant male characters. So one was this Parsi character Cyrus, who is this young girl's point of interest, like male. Yeah, absolutely. And then there are two other characters as well. To be very honest, when I wrote my first book, it was a challenge for me to write from a male point of view, and I think you've just nailed it, because we are women. We don't know how a male mind thinks. But for this one, I'm just honestly telling you, I just wrote the voices that came to me, and I realized, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's not so much about writing a male character or a female character. I think it was more about giving each of them a very characteristic voice, and their own mannerisms, and most importantly, their character flaws. Each
Hmm.
of them has a particular character flaw. Each of them has a very strong voice of their own. I just wanted it to be very authentic. So for me, more than recognizing it as a male or a female, what was important was that when we pick up our phone, we immediately know like कौन बोल रहा है. So for me it was important that when a character उसका जब वो नाम ऊपर पढ़ते हैं तो reader के दिमाग में आ जाना चाहिए what is this character all about, the voice that he speaks in, the family, the background that he carries, the values that he carries. And for me getting all that was very important, and I am telling you very honestly, I just channeled it. I could hear these voices speak in my head. Like Samir was speaking in my head. And it's something that only writers can understand because your characters speak to you in your head. And all the other stupid characters also, some of them, used to speak in my head, and I used to be like, just stop it, because I can hear your voices. So these voices were very clear. Yeah. I don't know
Yes,
whether I answered your question.
yes, you did, because honestly, I was looking in my mind. I knew what answer I would have given to such a question. So what you said is
Bataiye.
completely, yeah, resonates with me, because uh, above anything else, beyond the genders, we are trying to make our characters as authentic as possible, and in order to do that, we have to put aside their genders. Having said that, I do believe that, I don't know if I'm biased or not, but I do believe that women who write male characters do it better than men who do women characters. Do you think that?
Yeah, because I think when men write about women, I think there is some sort of they are like a sidekick, or they are in the supporting cast. I don't think I do you remember of, like, you would imagine a Tolkien creating such a huge universe, and there is not even like a single female
Yes.
character in the whole series which is like strong enough. How could you have that? And from such a such a notable author, how could you have that? So I think you were right. I think you were right, because I think we are aware that we might make a mistake. I think we covered the ground pretty well for ourselves, and we try to bring in as much authenticity as possible by making
Yes.
the male character, male point of view as real, as close to reality as possible.
Uh, Having said that, it brings me to another point, which is that when I was writing my debut novel, and the only novel that I have written, it has two male characters and one female protagonist. And while writing those male characters, I had a hesitation, but I had that kind of confidence also, because I did my research as well before writing about them. And I had that confidence only because I had talked to the men in my life, and trying to make sure that I'm getting that perspective right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one way to go about it. I think I did that for my first book, but this one, I don't know. I was very confident that I'll be able to pull it off. So I pulled it off. So,
Quite
absolutely.
well, and I must add, quite well. So because it is, in the recent time, it is the only book where I have read more men characters than women characters, and I was absolutely blown away by the fact that a woman has written it.
Did you end up hating Ali, if I
Oh
may
my
ask?
God, he is an all-out creep. I mean, from page one itself, I was like, oh my God, he's giving me goosebumps. Just go.
Yeah, he came to me that way. Such a strong character. If I close my eyes, I can still hear his voice. So
You.
that's some sort of madness. I think that this is from one writer to another. You will be able to understand. Ah, by the way, Tolkien has one female character. I guess Galadriel is there.
Hmm. Yes, right. We forgot about that. But
Yeah.
from a plethora of characters, there's just one we can recall. So that's just, sad. Why aren't there
Yeah.
characters we can recall at the spur of the moment when we talk about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Yes.
Yes, which brings me to my next question, which is, the ending of your book. I absolutely loved it, but I am sure you have got mixed responses on it, because as a writer, I understand how difficult it is to, keep each segment of your reader satisfied. Your ending is quite unconventional. I honestly did not expect it to go where it did. Having said that, how can you go about such a climax? With that fear that people are not going to like it, or there will always be a certain segment of readers who will come and say, "पर यार ending थोड़ा better होता तो अच्छा होता."
I'll try to not give out any spoilers. So what happened was, when I wrote the first draft, I think that had a very expected sort of an ending, which I thought would appease all the readers. But subsequently, when I submitted the book to publishers and all, it got rejected and all. So then I signed up with my literary agent, and he took the book on, and but I'm represented by the book bakers, and Suhail Mathur is my literary agent. So after I submitted the book to him, I said, can I revise the ending, because somehow that's not fitting well. I don't think there's something wrong with it. And something happened, and I just again, once again, I just went back. I was like, okay, let me see not what I want, but what the characters want from me. And the voices came very clear. It was like, and I changed the ending. I made it, I think, more uplifting, more positive, which of course, some people liked, some others they did not like, but that's okay. That's all a part of the thing. As long as the reader is satisfied, I think I've done my job. So even if, there was a bit of a dissatisfaction because, they did not expect that sort of an ending, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I think mostly people have come back to me and they have told me that they were satisfied with the ending.
Yes.
But it
So,
was unconventional. It was unconventional.
yeah, and when you are doing an unconventional ending, that is the case with my debut novel also. I have so many readers coming back and telling me that they were not satisfied. So that is why I wanted to ask you this question particularly, because I have experienced it too. And for me, it has been like the story was clear to me, and I know the ending better than the readers do. So I have to justify what story formed in my head. It's more about satisfying my own thought process than satisfying the reader.
For me, it was like the characters, whatever they were telling me, they were forcing. My book wouldn't have gone through if I wouldn't have done what they were telling me to do. So I'm just so clear about that. I don't want to give out the spoilers because then it opens up everything for them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like I just had to do what they were telling me to do. There was no way out for me. So, okay,
Yeah.
fine. But I'm
Right.
glad you liked it. I'm glad you liked it.
I really liked it because it is very, as you mentioned, it's very uplifting, and there is, I don't want to use a word which might give out spoilers, but there is hope for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know, because I'm just trying not to give out the ending.
Okay, my next question to you is about the central character in your story, which is Nikita, and we have all been in that phase of life where we were once Nikitas ourselves. Every female has been like that in her teenage or in her school days or something like that, in her college or and school. But the thing about Nikita is that she's not only annoying, but she's very endearing, and you just cannot help feel protective about her and like her. How did you manage that? I mean, making a character that is at once annoying and endearing.
I think it's just about giving her enough flaws, and you have enough people around you, especially teenagers. So Nikita is a teenager, she's 19, and at 19, you have to show somebody who's immature, who wants everything in life but doesn't know that it comes at a price, who has this thing that they are an adult but not an adult. Somewhere along they keep making mistakes, not learning from their mistakes. I had to give her so many flaws, and she's just such a huge bundle of flaws. But I just thought maybe this would be an appropriate protagonist, who is capable of making. So I gave her a very nice family background. Normally what people do is that they give their protagonist, or especially a character who is so flawed, they give them uh, a very uncomfortable
A
sort of a
traumatic
family
family
background they
comes
come
in.
from, and or they smoke and they drink and they do
Ah,
drugs and all that. I haven't done anything of that sort. It's just in her stubbornness, in her greed to be famous, I think that's enough of a spark that I have given her. And उससे फिर कैसे आग बनेगी वो अपने आप हो जाता है. So yeah, it was interesting. I think most of my characters, I just made sure that my characters were as authentic as I could create them. Like, giving them so many flaws कि कहीं पे आप अपना सिर पकड़ते हो that she's just been through an incident. Why is she going out there all
Yeah,
alone? Like, why is she
exactly.
doing it? But I think when we are younger, we are also we are able to bounce back quicker. You would notice that,
We
especially
tend to be
among young.
impulsive like that. We tend to be impulsive
Yeah.
like that.
Yes, and there's a lot of anger. You break up one moment, you fall in love one moment, and you fall out of love another moment. So I needed that sort of impulsiveness to drive this character. Because, that's the sort of mistakes she keeps making again and again, again and again, despite people telling her that that's not how you should go about things. Hi,
Yeah.
Karan. I have
Hello.
my people joining me. Yes, hi. Huh. Yes.
Yes. So Nikita, somewhere I believe, is endearing because she reminds of us of ourselves, our younger selves. And she's
Yes.
also annoying because of the same reason, because we have gone through the same mistakes.
Absolutely, absolutely. All teenagers are like that. They
True,
are
true.
they are unreasonable. They have this anger. They want to be treated as an adult, and they don't
Yes.
have brains enough of their own. And you just like, oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that brings me to my last question for you in this segment, which is Samir's character. I mean, he's completely antagonist, and we have Cyrus, who's the total protagonist. You can't help but have a crush on him. He's so mature, so he's taking care of Nikita so well, and he just wants her to be safe. But then when you are giving more space to Samir, it somehow feels that he's not Cyrus is not getting enough space. And as a reader who has grown up reading books where the central character is supposed to be positive, and here we see Samir who's getting more limelight. How did you manage that? Was it deliberate, and how can one justify such a choice in a story like this?
I think I might sound like a broken radio, but record. But it's like I wanted to I didn't create Samir as a bad character to begin with. Yes, he did some things, and because he's also young, he has a troubled background. He did some things which maybe he'll not feel very proud of when he's a certain age and all that. But I wanted to show that the best of people, like the best, even we, as in like hum bhi hote hain, everybody has got that dark side where you
Hmm.
do things that you're certainly not proud of. And I think it comes across more strongly, these contrasts come across more strongly in Samir, who has a good side to him. Because there's a scene where I have built it up like, he doesn't use women. He'll not force himself upon
Hmm.
anybody,
Hmm.
like forcing himself, but he may also do that if he's pushed against the wall. So I think it comes across more strongly in Samir's character than Cyrus's character. And everybody told me that they were left wanting for more. They wanted to know more about his likes and dislikes, about what this guy was like. And I based it on real life Cyrus. My teenage crush was Cyrus Brocha. When we were growing up, there's this, you remember in our,
I
he
do.
was the MTV VJ, and I based the character on him. And guess what, he interviewed me, and he said, Vani, when we spoke about it, I told him, I said, I'm going to base my main character on you. And he was so surprised when he read the book. He said, you really wrote it like as close to my life as possible. And I don't know. As long as I justified both of them, both sides, the female's point of interest, that was Cyrus, and the main antagonist, that was Samir. As long as I justified both the characters, I'm happy. And as long as you could connect with both these characters, I have
Yeah.
no complaints.
Yes, I guess that's what makes the book a whole. I mean, it's a package. I mean, even if we are left wanting more about Cyrus, we are somewhere satisfied because you've done it so well. You have weaved a story including all the characters as a whole. So that's wonderful.
Thank you so
Now,
much.
before we move on to your questions for me, I want you to read out a
Yes.
paragraph.
Okay, from my book
Yes.
now. Okay, so I'm going to read this. I'm just going to read like for maybe 30 seconds or something. So there's a small paragraph that's my favorite where this girl Nikita, she's gone to Mumbai and she's all alone there. She doesn't have her family. She's all of 19, and the house help who comes, to clean her
Kamla.
house and do the utensils and all, Kamla, she's giving this girl tips, how to protect herself in a city like Mumbai. And this is very interesting because this just came to me and I was laughing when I wrote this. So I'm just going to read what the house help is telling Nikita. Okay, so just going to read a few lines from there. So Kamla says to Nikita, Mumbai is a big city. It's not for a sweetling like you, she says. You need to be tough to survive here. Why don't you reach out to your father? He might be able to look after you. Now, Nikita, her father does not support her, so they are not on talking terms. So Nikita says, I don't need him. I can look after myself very well, I reply. But it has no effect on her. And she goes on to lecture me on how to survive in Mumbai. And these are the tips that Kamla auntie gives her. Don't go out wearing short shorts, or at least have a sarong to cover your butt cheeks. Don't stay out late. Drink only those drinks that have been mixed by you. Be careful of druggies. Don't give your address and phone number to strangers. And what if, so Nikita asks her, what if somebody asks me for my details? And Kamla says, tell him to fuck off. Kamla replies, walking away towards the kitchen, and this girl laughs, fuck off. I repeat, giggling widely, who taught you that? So Kamla is a house help. How is she supposed to know what fuck off means? And then Kamla says, never mind who taught me that, as long as you know when to use it. The rest of her speech is lost to me as the noise of tinkling and clanking of utensils fills up my apartment. So that's just a quick paragraph for you. Something that I really love, and she gives
Yes.
really handy tips which she uses later on in the book.
Yes, and there's one more tip that she gives, which I absolutely loved, and I laughed. And then later, when she uses it, when Nikita uses it, I was like, "Wow! I did not see that coming useful here."
Absolutely. I don't want to give it out because that would be like giving out everything. So just don't want to give it out. But that is like, I don't know how that even came to me. But I was like, yes, this is what it should be.
Yes. So that's about it. I think I have raved enough about your book. Now let's give
Yes.
some space to you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. I loved your questions. I love talking to you, Manali. From the first time we interacted over this email and all, I have found you very humble, very down to earth, very positive. So that's my review of the interaction we have had. I want to know, first of all, something about you. Just introduce yourself, because there are some of my friends who've joined and they would love to know about you.
Yes. I was born and raised in Surat, and then like Nikita, I moved away from my house, but not with a fight. I had my parents' consent. They sent me for my further education to Mumbai. So I moved from Surat to Mumbai, and I have been there. I'm a total Mumbai girl now, and I have moved on from one job to another. None of them satisfied me as much as reading did. So that's how I got my calling as a writer, and I have been writing full time for the past 5 years now, and it's been very satisfying. And in those 5 years, I have now authored 5 books, and they are doing really well. And alongside that, I blog and I do freelance writing and editing. I help other writers get their works published and make their books better, make their stories better.
Excellent, Manali. So, I would like to tell the viewers that I have read Manali's wonderful book. I have reviewed it on Amazon as well. So, do check out my review of her book, Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories. It came out last year, right?
Yeah,
It's something
it's a Christmas
that
release.
you just. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's a wonderful book. I want to ask that, as you were just telling us about your background. So, you're a Mumbai girl.
Yes,
Hi.
yes.
So, do you have any prior training in this thing? Have you attended any writing workshops? Have you been through any courses or anything of that sort? Do you have a creative writing background?
No, I do absolutely have no background in creative writing. It's just out of my love for language and reading that I have become, at least I believe I have become a good writer. I won't call myself excellent. I'm still a work in progress, and I believe everyone is a work in progress. But I do believe that, I have become better over a period of time, since I started writing.
So, how do you get your ideas? What is your creative process like? And when you've written novels, you've written poetry, you write a lot of others. I don't know. You write blogs, articles. So, how do you decide, like whether you will write a short story out of something, or make it out into a novel, or write poetry? What is your creative process? How do you work? And
Uh,
especially for me, I'm asking it because I don't do poetry. I cannot even understand poetry. Because you need to be in a different mental space to understand good poetry. So yeah, this is a question from that I had in mind.
so Poetry will always be my first love as a writer because I have been writing poetry for the longest period. I have been writing poetry since I was a teenager, and it just came very naturally to me because English was always my favorite subject in school. And even during that time, when we had, sections for prose and poetry separate, and we had different teachers also for teaching the prose section and the poetry section, I always used to look forward to the poetry section more. Unlike most of my classmates who loved prose more, I enjoyed poetry more because I had fun trying to gauge meaning out of it of my own. You can never interpret a poem wrong. You can have your various interpretations of yourself, and every reading gives you a different interpretation. That's how much I love poetry, and that's how I began writing poetry also. I think the very first poem I wrote was when I was 12 or 13, and uh, I have never stopped me after that. So yeah, poetry is something that comes very intuitively to me, and I don't think it can be taught. It has to be out of the love of language and reading that you can be a poet.
So how do you decide, like when you get an idea, how do you decide whether you write a short story out of it, or like use it for a
uh,
novel? How do you decide that?
So when an idea comes to me and I start writing it, I look at it in a manner where, whether in a shorter number of words, I can convey the message that I want to convey. If it is not getting conveyed, then I go for a longer version. I have written only one novel, let's be honest. I don't have any experience about writing novels. I've written only one. But when the idea for Love Triangle came to me, I wanted to explore it as a short story first. But when I began writing it, I was very sure that I will not be able to do justice to it in about 30 or 40 pages. It's going to need much more space than that, and that's how it became a novel. With short stories, I believe that as long as you are able to convey what you want to convey in a limited number of words, it doesn't matter what format you are choosing.
Okay, wonderful. I want to tell you something about Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories. Something that it's a beautiful collection of short stories. I just finished the book yesterday, and I'll tell you why. Because my parents were leaving, and I was so busy with them, and that's the only reason because of which I told you. Otherwise, I would have finished it. Maybe a couple of days पहले मैं finish कर देती. But it's like what I found in most of your short stories. I haven't still read your novel, at least in the short stories. Um, I thought you give a lot of importance to family, to warmth, to togetherness. There are these themes that I saw running through the entire book, through those all of those short stories, themes of love, separation, hope, faith, and all these very uplifting, positive emotions. What is the reason for that? And even though it's very nice, is that the sort of a person you are, who gives a lot of emphasis to family and family values, who cherishes, who wants to celebrate all the festivals with family? Are you that sort of a person? And is that why you sort of bring that into your writing as well?
Yes. I have stayed away from my family for a very long time. I had just turned 18 probably when I moved away from my parents, and it was an age where I was still at a very impressionable age, and you sort of tend to be molded into wrong ways if you are not, if you don't have that correct kind of upbringing in you, and I always knew that my upbringing is such that I will always be able to tell the good from the bad, and uh, you know, not have a particular kind of inclination. So, having said that, I believe probably that's why my stories focus so much on family. I have never thought about it this way, but when you are pointing it out, yes, I do realize that a lot of my stories are about family and friendships and relationships, and probably it is so because I have had people around me who made such a positive impact in me, my personality, and in my life. So I guess the people around you affected you a lot, and the kind of work that you give out.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, Resty Comrade, I am loving your emojis. Keep sending us those, and thank you so much for joining us. Keep
Yeah,
sending some
thank you so much,
emojis are
Leslie
coming.
Congress.
That's very entertaining. Keep sending whatever you are sending. So and yeah, so yeah, when I was reading those stories, I found that there's a lot of importance you place on togetherness, on love, on finding love. What is it about that? Are you drawn to love stories, to romances naturally, or like
Yes,
tell us something about your preferences?
yeah. I think I am a lovelorn person. I have grown up on Yash Raj movies and rom-com novels of Nicholas Sparks and
You are a typical
whatnot.
Mumbai girl.
Yeah, definitely. And I have been a reader for a very long time, and I think romance is the genre that I have read the most, and probably that's why it shows in my stories also the
Who is your
positivity.
favorite romance writer?
Nicholas Sparks. I mean, I'm a 90s kid,
Ah,
all out.
okay, wonderful.
Yes, and I have read the book romance genre books so much that probably that is the reason why so many of my stories have a boy and a girl story. Always there is, even though it might not be the mainstay of the story, there is always a boy and girl story there.
Cool, cool, cool. Manali, tell us about your next project. What's cooking? What's happening in your kitchen and what's baking right now?
The plan was to release a spin-off of my debut novel where, two of the side characters are going to become the main protagonist in the next book. But something has happened midway which has, derailed that plan, and I might be doing something else before that.
Without giving out spoilers, can you tell us the name of your first novel and a bit about it? What is it about?
So Love Triangle is basically about three very young people. Aisha is 18 when no, Aisha is actually Aisha Banerjee is the protagonist, female protagonist. Then we have Abhi Agarwal and we have Viren Joshi. These are the three lead characters in that book. And Aisha is from Chandigarh. She moves to Mumbai when she turns 18. Along with her parents, makes the move. And the story is about how she finds her footing in Mumbai and how these two boys help her, become comfortable in a new city and a new surrounding. Viren is her neighbor, and they live in the same society. And Abhi is her college senior, where she is, joined Mithibai College, and she's going to pursue political science. So it's all about how she befriends these two boys who are completely different from each other, and how they uh, help shape her personality and help her become comfortable with a new city.
How much of your work is from borrowed from real life, and how much is it like all in your imagination?
Uh, so the setting of the story, which happens in Mumbai, that is quite personal because I have visited the spots that I have mentioned in the book. But other than that, the experiences of the characters are completely fictional. What
Okay.
happens with them uh, is not something that has happened with me.
I hope did I tell you that all of the stuff that I have written in Seconds Later, it's just my imagination. I've not never visited like all those places in Mumbai.
Oh
I've
wow,
never been to Goa. I have not done
that is
half of those.
amazing.
This is I've never had Parsi friends because I live in Chandigarh. So you don't have many Parsis who are settled here.
Wow, that
Hi,
is
somebody
amazing.
say that. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
Good evening.
Chili, chili, chili bit. Yeah.
That's a very interesting handle. Uh, I'm also a foodie now. Now I want paneer.
I know. हमें पनीर का स्वाद आ रहा है. Manali, I have this one last question for you probably. When you started out, when you started your journey a couple of years ago, you said 5 years ago, how tough or easy was it? And any tips that you would like to give to other writers? And you have this thriving blog. Many people want to find success as a blogger, and I read in your acknowledgements that you found a lot of support in Indian bloggers, like you have lots of friends. So any tips that you would like to give to people?
uh, Firstly, you have to be consistent in your writing. It's not just about thinking. You have to sit down with a pen and paper, or open your laptop and open that document and start writing. You can't call yourself a writer if you are not doing it every day or at least 5 days of the week. A week. So that's one thing. You have to be consistent with your writing. Uh, And the other thing is also reading. I find reading is equally important when you are a writer. If you are not reading, you're not providing your brain enough content, enough creativity to, get inspired. So that's another thing that's very important. So write consistently and read regularly. These are the two very important things I believe that have helped me become better as a writer.
And was it any was it difficult when you started, or was it easy?
Uh, it gets easier. It is difficult initially, but it gets easier as it's a job where you learn on the go. There's nothing like, there's no one size fits all in this particular profession. Bring your own creativity, you bring your own kind of ideas and content into the community, and the community will accept you. But you have to be receptive of the criticism, and uh, try to understand their point of view when they are trying to tell you that this could have been better, this could have been done in a different manner. You have to be receptive towards that.
Okay, wonderful. I think I would just end it with a quick review of your book, Under the Mistletoe and Other Stories, which I recently finished. And guys, it's a cute collection of short stories, a delightful read, and full of festive flavors. Very Christmassy in every way that you can imagine. There are some lovely stories, very heartwarming, some of them. And one of those, I had tears in my eyes when I read that. So, really, you were so amazing, Manali. And
Thank
I
you.
think, we have this. This appreciation club now. Yeah. So anything that you want to, so we can go in for our rapid fire if
Yes.
you're happy with
Let's
that.
move to the rapid fire and the most fun part of this episode. Are you
Yes.
ready? You have to answer within 5 or 10 seconds, whatever comes to your mind. Okay.
Yes.
Let me just open my questions for you before we go. Yes. Okay, so my first question to you is based on the two lead characters in your story. So, would you rather go out on a date with Cyrus or Samir? Why?
I would probably go out for a date with with somebody's dog. I don't go out for dates. I'm not a date person. I get very
That is so
nervous.
unfair.
I get bugs in my stomach. You know, I don't know what happens to me. If I go out, I get like I freeze and I get very uncomfortable. So I haven't done it in ages. You know, I've never been out on dates. I'd probably take a dog out for a walk or go out on my own.
That is very smart and very diplomatic. I am impressed. I am impressed, Vani. Very, you dodged a bullet there.
Absolutely. See?
Okay. So my next question to you is one book that you wish you could read again for the first time.
Pride and Prejudice. That's one of my
Ah,
favorite books, and I don't know. I cannot stop thinking about it. Like even now, if somebody just writes a quote from the book, it just takes me back to that time when I read it for the first time, and I wish I could go back to that time again and again and discover the magic in each page. You know, each page of the book as the Bennett sisters are introduced to us, and as Darcy is introduced to us. It's such a beautiful book.
nice. Okay, my next question is based on fandoms because these two books probably have the highest fandoms in the world, and you have to pick one. Would you rather go to Hogwarts or Middle Earth?
Both. See, once I have the magic from Hogwarts, I can obviously travel to Middle Earth. That's not a problem at all. So I would do both any day because
Ah,
you know who would like to go to Hogwarts and Middle Earth and meet and probably have a cup of tea or something with Bilbo and Frodo Baggins and with Gandalf and probably find just discuss ways to avoid Sauron. God knows what. Now you put me in that frame of mind. I really want to watch Lord of the Rings now.
ah. Nice. Again, you are like Chiddi Mera Paddi Mera. I want everything.
Everything. You're talking to a book lover. You तुम कर ही नहीं सकते select, you know. नहीं कर
I do.
पाते, है ना?
Okay, my next question is in a panic situation, you are most likely to dash.
In a
Panic situation.
panic situation, most likely to scream and run and just
Just
run
increase
away.
the panic.
Increase the panic even more. Yes, absolutely. Scream, run, do whatever comes to your mind. Absolutely.
Nice. Okay. One thing you don't admit to doing in public.
One thing that I don't admit to doing in public. Um, I sometimes I do get. I think I project an image of a person who is almost always laughing and all that. I do get very upset at times, but I don't probably admit to that in public. Not many people know that I have these moments when I'm almost murderous. I really want to kill people, but then I meditate a lot. I'm a meditation junkie, so I sit on my meditation mat for hours and I burn sage and all those things. And I'm like, God, please calm, because have your calming presence over me because I can't handle this. So yeah,
Oh,
probably that's the one thing I nobody knows about me. They
yeah.
probably find things like the way I speak and all. I'm generally very polite, but I do feel like smacking people sometimes when they are being stupid, ridiculous, and all sorts of things. Yeah.
So somebody, probably a character like Nikita in your life would bring out that side of you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Trust that to happen. So if your questions are over, I have very interesting questions for you.
Yes, I'm
Five
ready.
rapid five
Let's do
rapid
it.
fire questions, and Resty Comrade is sending us very nice emojis now. So keep sending us emojis. Thank you so much. And he's watching the whole show. I don't know
Oh,
whether it's a
thank
he
you
or
so
a she. But yeah, thank you so much. Absolutely delighted to have you on the show and watching it also. So here are my 5 questions for you. First one, what was your reaction like, or how did you react when you came to know that Santa is not real?
Honestly, I always knew Santa is not real because I have studied in a convent school, and every year on Christmas we used to have somebody from the staff dressing up as the Santa Claus and distributing the sweets. So I knew the real person behind the make, the fake Santa. So it was never really a question of heartbreaking.
So you were actually a very smart kid.
Yeah.
It was truly heartbreaking for me, you know. I always thought Santa was real.
Oh my God. And what was it like you when you discovered that?
मेरे को तो अभी भी बिलीव होता है कि Santa real है. Santa is real. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि when I sleep, like on Christmas Eve somebody would come and give me presents. I'm like that, I like to have that sort of an imagination. Why not? You have that childlike thing in you, ना कि आपको लगता है यार कोई
वो
आपको
तो
भी आके present
मतलब
देगा.
I also do expect miracles to happen, and sometimes they do happen. When somebody from your life who cares about you just fulfills your wishes without you having to tell them, that's like a Santa moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. My second question to you is, most people love receiving gifts. I love receiving gifts. Are you a gifter or you are a taker? Like, do you love gifting people or do you love receiving gifts?
I think I'm more of a giver because I like the whole process of. Uh, I also make gifts, yeah, like handmade things. I have been doing that for a while, and I also like the whole process of my gifts are very thoughtful. So I like the whole process of making a list of things the person might be in need of or might like and appreciate. So that whole process is very very enjoyable for
रेस्टी कॉम्प्लेट यस मुझको हिंदी आती है. अच्छा आपसे पूछ रहे हैं आपको हिंदी आती है या नहीं.
me. अरे हाँ आती है ना, बिल्कुल आती है यार. ऐसा
अच्छा
थोड़ी है कि
आपको
नीदरलैंड आ गए
आपको
तो मतलब.
गुजराती आती है.
हाँ
गुजराती
हाँ,
आती है.
आती है
हाँ
आती है.
तो अभी आप नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन का आंसर इनको गुजराती में दीजिए सिर्फ इनके लिए. वुड यू रादर हैव योर फैमिली विद यू एट द टाइम ऑफ अ फेस्टिवल और डू यू लाइक टू सेलिब्रेट फेस्टिवल्स अलोन. गुजराती में.
સો નાનપણથી તો એવું જ રહ્યું છે કે હંમેશા ફેમિલીની સાથે ફેસ્ટિવલ સેલિબ્રેટ કર્યા છે. બટ as I grew up, as I mentioned earlier, હું ઘરથી અને ફેમિલીથી દૂર ઘણા વખતથી રહું છું. So there have been instances where I have celebrated festivals not with my family, but I don't think I have ever celebrated a festival alone. હંમેશા કોઈ ને કોઈ તો સાથે હતું જ. If not my parents, મારા ફ્રેન્ડ્સ હતા મારી સાથે, નહીં તો મારા રૂમમેટ્સ હોય કોઈ વખત મારી સાથે. So I don't think I have ever celebrated a festival alone. Having said that, I don't believe it is necessary to have uh, only known people with you on a festival. A festival can equally be enjoyed when you are with unknown people also who are, in the spirit of the festival and they are enjoying the festival.
Okay, uh, my last question to you is, what is the most atrocious or funny or hilarious request you made to Santa ever?
Oh, this is a tricky one. I think when I was a child, I once didn't want a particular cousin to be. So this is going to get me into a lot of trouble, but I, I will make sure that this clip doesn't reach them. But I have to, make this interesting also. So, as a child, I was a very petulant child, and I was difficult. I wanted things, in my way, and everybody has to give me attention and all that. So, I once wished for a cousin to, get injured so that they could not attend a family event, and I could get all the attention.
So sweet. So मेरे को याद है, when I grew up, I remember like I was maybe in 7th grade or 8th grade, and I'm saying this because I was thinking about it when I was reading your book. तो मैंने तो यार atrocious ऐसी request करी है, मतलब Santa एक boyfriend ही ला दो, ऐसे भी request करी. So can you imagine a kid in seventh grade still believing that Santa exists and requesting the Santa for a boyfriend? And when your age comes to have boyfriends, you would rather go out and with a dog and not with a guy because it gets you all frozen and uncomfortable. Anyway, this is the
From then till now, what progress, Vani?
how much progress I've made. Absolutely, absolutely. So, anything else that we can add to this? I think I'm done with the questions. Huh, yes, I have one more last question for you. Yes, of course. Resty Comrade is keeping a score. Okay, if you had to choose between festivals, so would it be like Christmas on one side, and you have Diwali, Holi, Dashera, all our Indian festivals on other side? Which one would you choose and why?
I think as a child, I enjoyed Diwali more, but as an adult, I'm enjoying Christmas more. I don't know if that makes sense because Diwali was always about family for me, and Christmas has always been about friends for me because I have been educated in a convent school, and I have always celebrated New Year's with friends, either at home or either out with them. So yeah, as an adult, Christmas; as a child, Indian festivals.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's a wonderful question, Manali. And our friend has to say, boyfriend Santa के bag में नहीं आएगा. That's really cute, and I think that just ends the
I
rapid fire
think
round.
we had one question in the beginning of the session where somebody asked us about self-publishing. Let me scroll and see the question again. Let me see if I can find it. I think somebody had asked us whether we should go for self-publishing or uh, you know uh, we go with somebody like an agency or a
Would,
traditional publisher.
would you like to take that?
I have been on both sides, so my experience has been good and bad with both. But with self-publishing, I have seen that you have a lot of freedom with your content and the kind of promotion that you want to do. You can do it on your own. So that's one very big advantage of self-publishing. And with traditional publishing, you have the kind of relaxation that you have somebody support. They will also contribute towards your promotion, and they will help you with the distribution too. So that's also great. But again, there is a question of royalties also. When you go for self-publishing, you have more royalties, and when you're going for traditional publishing, you have less royalties. So there is good and bad to both. You just have to do your research and decide what works out the best for you.
I think yes, absolutely. I would agree with you because it is you have to take your own call. What is your comfort zone? What suits you best? I think I've not gone this self-publishing route, but I just understand because I've seen a lot of my friends doing that, so I understand that there are a lot of advantages to that. You don't have to wait for a publishing house, a
Mm.
publishing deal to happen, and things happen pretty fast and you're at your own pace. But then again, it could be daunting to really go out there and to talk about your
Vani, can't hear you. Your voice went off. Something happened. Now I can. Yes. Could you
yeah.
repeat the
I was
last part of your answer? We couldn't get that.
yeah, I was saying that you have to take your own call, and ultimately both you could have a traditional publishing contract, or you could go the self publishing way. Depends, because self publishing is easy. You don't have to really wait for a publishing deal to happen. You don't The royalties are of course much more when you self publish the book. But yeah, it could be, I was saying it could be a bit daunting to go out there and talk about your book, to market
Mhm.
and promote your book, make it available to all the readers. So not everybody is comfortable with that. So I think it's all about what you're comfortable with, and really what you want for yourself and where you see yourself in this whole journey. So I think everybody has to make their own choice.
Yes, very, very true. And before you make that choice, it is also very important to do your research properly because, yeah, many people go into the self-publishing industry not understanding what it entails and what kind of investment they are going into, and that kind of becomes disappointing for them later. So
Yes,
it's important to do your research, talk to somebody who has experience in that industry.
absolutely, absolutely agree. So I think that was the only question we had.
Yes, I think so. And we still have Rusty Comrade with us. I am so very grateful. Thank you for sticking with us through
Thank
the
you
entire
so much.
show.
In fact, a lot of your friends and my friends also joined. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much for all those of you who have, seen this whole show. It's been like I never expected it to be like an hour. And, it's almost going to be 15 minutes now, an hour and 15 minutes. But it's been
Wow. Yeah.
amazing to speak to you, and I've loved our interaction. And
Same here.
yeah, I look
Yes.
forward to reading more of your books, Manali. It's been just so amazing to
Same here.
know you and to talk to you.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Vani. It has been a wonderful show. I learned so much from you about writing, about creativity, about creating characters, and so much more. Thank you. And thank you to everyone who joined us. This entire episode will be available on my IGTV, and I will also be uploading it on my YouTube channel. So whoever has not been able to listen to the entire conversation can always go back and look at it later on whenever they have the time. You can also skip the parts which you didn't find interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's perfectly fine, But yeah, it's been amazing, and thank you so much. Thank you so much, viewers, and it's been lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us, and good night. Good night, Vani. Hope to talk to you again soon. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye bye. See you. Take care. Bye. Bye. Thanks.